Howdy y'all, Dr. Groovy here, Scott Grove of GroovyMusicLessons.com with, as promised, an alternative, as you can see in the title above, an alternate bass guitar tuning. Why do we need one? We don't, but they're fun, aren't they? Okay, so today's is ones that some guitar players might love, bass players might love, they might hate it. Who cares? It's something different, something for you to think about. And it's very cool for so many different things. So I hope guitar players and bass players alike tune into this one because it's a very friendly tuning. Okay? So what we are basically going to do is, well, this. Let's grab a guitar, since I'm going to base this on guitar. And you're like, no! But yes, bass guitars are already based on guitars as far as tuning. Bass guitars are simply your top four strings on a guitar, your E, A, D, G, but tuned a couple octaves down. That's all a bass is, right folks? We're talking 4-string right now. And that's all I'm going to be using for this whole video. 4-string bass. Okay. So, E, A, D, G, typical bass guitar tuning for a 4-string bass. Now, what about those other 2 strings on a guitar? You're like, what about them? I know bass guitars are tuned in fourths, usually, but today, no. They're going to just simply be tuned like the other strings of the guitar. So, we're going to have just like taking off the E and A string. You're like, no, it can't be. Yeah, actually that's what it is. But I'm going to do it 2 different ways. First way going to be the least taxing on your neck. Meaning, usually if you are going to detune things, you want to get heavier gauge strings in order to keep the proper tension on your neck. So this first tuning will be the least evasive and the least chance of any kind of warpage on your neck, or the least chance of even having to mess with your truss rod whatsoever. You know, when you go to do drop tunings and you take your low E string and you tune it down to a C, or even just a drop D, or drop anything, the remainder of your strings, once you do that, will go sharp on you. Just the way it is. It just changes the tension on your neck. So if you detune one string, all the other strings naturally will go sharp. That's the way instruments made out of wood work. My other instruments around here that are carbon graphite or aluminum necks or whatever, I don't have to deal with that. But on wood basses or wood guitars, it's the way it works. So we're going to use the D string, G string, the B string, yes it's tuned weird, and the high E string on a guitar to tune our basses to. I will do that exact tuning second. The first one is going to be the exact same thing, but as if I had a capo on the 2nd fret of those 4 strings. Why? Because I told you I would take the one that is the least likely to screw up your bass. And plus, you get to keep 2 of your strings now that I'm adding a capo, a pseudo capo, to your 2nd fret of a 6-string guitar, and using these 4 strings, because that's going to look at it. Check it out. Changes your D string to an E, so we get to keep our low E on our bass where it was. Your G string, capoed, goes to an A, so you get to keep your A string on your bass where it was. Next one down, your B string. If we capo it, it actually goes up to a C sharp. So we'll be going to C sharp, okay, with our D string, which means only actually having to go, if you think about it, go backwards, it'd be D flat, so you just actually flat it by a half step, 1 fret. So we'll be taking our D string and doing a drop tuning, but just drop it by half a step, 1 fret, down to D flat. From D to D flat. Same thing's going to happen on your high string. Your high E string, if you put a capo 2nd fret, it goes to F sharp. Or, the way we're going to be thinking about it, since we're already tuned normal, is G flat. So, we're going to take, on our bass guitars that are tuned normal, in 440, not 432. No reason to tune in 432 unless you're a Nazi. Okay, 432. You people should be shot. Anyway, so, today, dun, 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 and every day after this, since it will be recorded. It's a beautiful thing. You only do it once. I don't have to teach this over and over again. Okay, so using the Punisher bass. This is the Chord version, which is, of course, discontinued. And as I told you all in a video a while back, what is this? A printer. Let's get rid of that out of the picture. And try to put just the bass in there. There we go. These basses now that used to be only $500, this one and the Axe bass from Chord, which is hanging directly above the camera, now have doubled in price already, just in the couple of months that they've been discontinued. So they're all going for $1,000 each now. So you should have picked these up when I told you to, because they're actually great instruments, and they've already doubled in price just because they were discontinued. I know, tons were made, but it doesn't matter. People are buying them. Normally it wouldn't be worth that, but what determines the worth of an instrument? Nothing other than what somebody is willing to pay for it. If you look on eBay, people are paying through the nose now for these. They wouldn't before, but now that they're gone, they're paying through the nose for them. They're paying double retail. Okay, so let's take your bass. It's normal. E, A, D, and G. Let me get rid of that pick. I was in Gene Simmons mode, so I was using the pick. Okay, like I said, we're going to take the G string. Grab your tuner or whatever. We're going to take it to G flat. Tune it a little bit flatter than that, then tune back up. Remember, always tune up. Always tune up. Okay? Now after we detune both of these, our E and A should actually be sharp. And we'll go back and fix those. And now, okay, now we tuned the G string to a G flat. Or an F sharp, whatever you want to call it. D string, same thing. Tune it flat by 1 fret. So we're going to D flat or C sharp. Go lower, stretch it, and then tune up to it. Lot less chance of you going out of tune if you tune up to a note. If you just tune down to it and leave it, it's going to stretch almost as if the string were new. Let me see what my A string did. It is sharp. Let's see if I can get it out just by stretching it. Got it. E string is a little bit sharp, just like I knew it would go. Okay, we're there. I'll check the G flat. A little bit sharp. And tune back up. And the D flat. A little bit sharp, going flat, and tuning back up. Okay, so I'm in tune now. Okay, you're like, why are we doing this? It is so cool for people who, for guitar players especially, you're like, screw the guitar players, we're bass players. No, we can't do that. This is a great tuning for everybody, bass players and guitar players. It makes everything more familiar for guitar players, which is a plus if you need to lay down tracks for bass. I know you could just do it like, well, guitar players should know the top 4 strings and just play it that way. Yeah, that's cool, except for when it comes to busy playing. Guitar players love to grab a bass and just go crazy and play lead licks all over the damn thing, and that's fine. It really is. You get your fancy people, you know, who we all love. You know, if you're a bass player, you know, you're going to get Victor Wooten, and I mean, the guy is just nuts all over the place, as Jocko and everybody that got it in whistle. Everybody was just all over the flipping place and playing quote unquote lead bass, and sometimes that would require another bass player to hold down the bottom end. Anyway, it's just simply an alternate tuning. Don't worry about it. The world is not going to end. Okay, so why do we do this? Hopefully you guitar players, well, you will definitely grasp this very fast. Bass players, I hope you guys know how to play a little bit of guitar. That will make this a lot easier. If not, just simply watch what I'm doing, or go online and look at what a couple chords look like. You're going to have to know what a D chord looks like for guitar, an F chord, and an A chord. Okay? Those are the three chords you would have to learn how to play on a guitar for this demonstration. Again, D, so a D chord, an F chord, and an A chord. Those are the three you would have to simply look up. Again, I will show them to you, but everything will change. Again, guitar players, since we left two of these strings the same, the E and the A, remember, we are tuned up as if your bottom four strings of a 6-string guitar had a capo on the 2nd fret. So remember that, okay? So that's the way it is. It's all in E now. So if you actually were to play a D chord, guitar players, I'm going to play back here by the bridge. Here is the formation of the D chord. Like in B, C, 2nd fret, 2nd fret, and 3rd fret. Okay, so remember, it's like a capo on there though. So that's not a D chord, it's just a D shape. It's actually an E chord, because we have it tuned like we have a capo on the 2nd fret of a guitar. Real quick, let's all make it familiar for the bass players and the guitar players. Let's check our tuning via the old-fashioned way, 5th fret and next string. But now, like on guitar, you have to go to the 4th fret on your A string and check that. Then back up to the 5th fret. So it's then 4th fret. So we are no longer tuned in fourths. Everything is different now. So when we want to do our octaves, bass players, now we have to stretch 3 frets. When it used to be just 2 frets, now it's 3 frets. It's a wider stretch. Okay, it's an alternate tuning. So you have positives, you have negatives. Okay, here comes some of the positives. Again, that D-shaped chord. I'm going to play it way back here by the bridge so you can hear the notes easier. Not so that it's better sounding tone-wise, because it will not be. Okay, so now that you think about this, guitar players and bass players, this is an E chord. E is an Edward. I know a lot of them sound the same, so I will give them names as we go. So E, Edward, because E, D, G, B, C, E, they all sound the same. E, 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 E. Okay, so that is an E chord. It looks like a D chord. Now these chords are modal, meaning that they can go anywhere on the neck and they are still fine. The bottom note will not be fine, but we can make it fine. So if you want to take this whole thing, now knowing that, okay, that's not D, it's just a D shape. Okay, but it is E. Okay, if you go up here where it is normally, take it up here, guitar players would recognize this as a G chord. You just took the same D chord shape, move it up here to 7, 7, and 8, and you would think that's a G. But again, we have the Capo thing going on. So everything is actually tuned higher by a whole step. Okay, so you can forget the Capo now and realize that everything is, for guitar players, is tuned higher by a whole step. Okay, now that we're not down here anymore, we have to go up here and think of it slightly different, that okay, our instrument is actually tuned a whole step higher. It doesn't actually have a Capo on it. The whole dang thing is actually tuned a whole step higher than the bottom 4 strings of a guitar. Okay, so that's the way we have to think of it from here on out, every one of you. No Capos anymore, just the instrument is tuned a full step higher, even though we actually tuned down a couple strings. It is tuned now 1 whole step higher than the bottom 4 strings of a guitar. Okay, so that is how it's tuned. So it's actually tuned higher than a guitar. Okay, so, and again, it has the least amount of chance of you even needing to bother with your truss rod, because we barely took any of the tension off of this wooden neck. Okay, so now that I'm in a G position but using my D-shaped chord, it's actually A. So you can actually put, okay, bass players, you know your E and your A string haven't been touched. It's a beautiful thing. You still have a point of reference now. So you can go, everything is the same. But now we have, starting right there, on your 5th, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, root 5th. Bass players know this. Now what's going to happen once you get to the 5th is you make that D-shaped chord starting on the 5th, and it is still going to be the 5th of this chord. Of what chord? A, because we are in the key of A. So you play the 5th. So now that 5th, the E is still going to be the 5th of the A chord, but you just finish up that D shape. So there's your 5th. Next string is your root. That's your A. Remember? If you ever need to know, use your octaves, but they're 1 fret further apart. And then your 3rd is on top, or bottom if you want to look at it this way, but it's on top of the A. So there's your 3rd, which is right there. So you have your whole triad, and you can always add your low A there. Okay, what does this serve? You can basically see it already. It makes for cooler fingering for everybody. Okay, not just guitar players. These are very, very much more comfortable ways of playing different fast licks, chords, hammer-offs, pull-offs, all that stuff that the lead guitar players do. But this is why they made guitar tunings the way they are, because it made more sense. It would sure be great to be tuned in 4ths, but then your fingers, as a regular guitarist, it's impossible to make chords if everything's tuned in 4ths. So from a guitar player point of view, okay. Okay. Okay, makes sense for guitar players. You play out the D. No more holding out the chord, unless you want to play the chord. Okay, I just went to a suspended 2nd, and then back up to the 3rd, 4th, 5th. Now if you play play them. Okay, so you get down to the A and E strings. Bass players already know what to do there. They just have a little bit of new learning curve to work on as far as the tuning. Okay. So it makes for a lot cooler, easier things to play for guitar players, and it opens up the bass players' minds to play things easier when it comes to this busy or chordal stuff. If you want to play things that have an open low E string and you want to play an E now, okay, I know I have to go up to what looks like a D shape apparently, because it's the only chord I've taught you so far as a shape in this tuning. Okay, normally for us guitar players we would just go to, well, let's go way up because we want to play way up. We would take it all the way up here to 16, 16, and 17. That would normally be E for us, but we are already tuned up a whole step higher. So we got to bring it back 2 frets to where it looks like D chord for us guitar players, but the instrument is, as far as a guitar looks, tuned up a whole step. So now D shape, played where it would normally be a D on a guitar, is actually in E, because we are tuned up a whole step again. So now, for all you people who love to do this chordal thing, okay? Okay, so now guitar players can go up and play in what in their mind is D, but it will be an E again because of the tuning. So all our little licks that we always love to play. I'll show you those in a second. Those are based off of the D chord and the A chord. I have 2 more chords to show you. But real quick, low E, just droning. And again, we are doing what's called a banjo roll. That is thumb, middle finger, and then first finger. Go up and grab your low E with your thumb. Okay, so that's how that works out. So the D is a great shape, and again it's movable or modal anywhere you want it to go. So what modal means, you can just take it and toss it anywhere on the fretboard and it is valid. That you can keep it exactly the same shape, and it can make different chords everywhere. So there's your E, F, F sharp, G, G sharp, A sharp, B, and C. Okay, so there's your D chord. Again, so learn that and use that banjo roll. all that stuff is just simply noodling around within this D chord shape. Triad. Root, third, fifth. Okay, bass players, that will make the most sense to you. Root, third, fifth. And the bass. And then play. Okay, so that's what that is. We're going to continue with the other chord shapes, then we're going to drop this whole thing down a full step from where it is, and then it will be a lot more comfortable for guitar players because it will be exactly what they already know without having to think a whole step up. And then bass players may be happy because they'll actually be down in D where it's nice and deep. If you're going to leave your bass in the next tuning, where we're going to take all of these now the way they are, even with these two dropped, we're going to drop the entire bass from this actual tuning a whole nother step. So your low E will become a D, then you're going to have a G, then you're going to have a B, then you're going to have a G. I mean a high E, I'm sorry. So you will end up with D, G, B, and then E on this next tuning. But here are the other little triads. The A chord is going to be very easy because there's not much of it to actually use here. It's just something that bass players and guitar players alike are already familiar with, but it changes things just a little bit because it's so screwy here because of the tuning. Bass players are used to being able to play your A, then having a fifth right here, but it's not there anymore because of the way we tuned. This whole thing used to have an octave here. You don't have it anymore. This whole thing, your root and your fifth are no longer there. They're up one fret because we dropped those two strings one fret. So now is your root, your fifth, and your octave. Okay, so this will be familiar with everybody, but just everybody remember, you know, guitar players will have to remember this, bass players are used to this one already, guitar players are used to this one already, but neither one of you are used to it being off by one fret. Okay, so there's your A shape. If you have, let's do it, you could do it this way. Okay. Okay, so everything that you normally would play would be there. Okay, now if an actual A chord on a guitar is played on 5 strings, but if we use the root and the third and the fifth, it would actually end up being on different strings. Okay. It would actually end up being simply this. Okay, so those 3 strings open would give you an A chord. There's your root, fifth. Now your third is just going to be your string here. So there's your root, fifth, root, third. Okay, so we can think of it this way. It's a whole new part of this. So they are actually played when you play an A shape and do it correctly and think of it again like we're trying to as a guitarist would think of it. You are actually playing the low 3 strings. Okay? And we are going to utilize our octaves now. Okay, so now we're going to be, let's go up to C. What is going to name the chord is going to be your A string. So if you go up here to C, okay, so you're in C, that's going to be your root, fifth, root, and then third, straight down. Okay, your root's no longer back here, I mean your third's no longer back here. It's just all of them are together with a bar. So root, fifth, root, third. Okay? So if we play way back here by the bridge, we can distinguish the notes. Okay? Now, if we use our pinky and skip and go 3 frets higher, we get the octaves. Okay, again, the lowest string is going to be our 5th, so you can decide if, when and if you want to use it. So we're using a root, and now a 5th, and another root. And you can add in your 5th if you want. Or you can just simply omit one string and put the highest note here. So you have all 3, your root, 3rd, and 5th, and that's the way they're going: root, 3rd, 5th. If you want that. Generally you don't want that until you're up here. Let's go an octave higher. Sorry. So it's just an octave higher, so we're at 15, 15, and 18. Okay, the scale for you all, everybody, is this. Use the formation of the A. Okay, so you have your root, your 5th down here if you want it. There's your whole entire chord. Root, 5th, 3rd. And then if you actually want to add another note on another string, just reach up and grab for, you can do it this way if you want, which is a bitch, but go actually back 2 frets to the 13th fret of your highest string. It's just adding the other root in there. Okay, so now if we were to actually play the whole chord, root, here's your 5th, root, 3rd, now let's add another root, octave higher. It's okay, that's all the way up to the 18th. That's what I want to look at. Okay, so we're doing root, 3rd, 5th, that way. Root, 3rd, 5th. Now here comes your scale. Now pinky is there on the 18th, 17, open, which will make it your 15. Now 18 on your next string. Now 16, 15. Now we can do a hammer-ons, a pull-offs, or whatever from 15 to 17. Okay, so that's doing your root and your second. Where's my root? Way down there, C. Where it normally is on your bass. Okay, so now that you have that, everybody, get rid of that formation, but keep it in your brain so you can do the cool stuff. Back to your root. Okay, so I just did the same thing from your root to your second to your 5th and 6th. So you can add great stuff for really busy bass work. Lots of hammer-ons, pull-offs, if you want to use a pick. If you want want to take all this stuff and okay, so you all get to do all that. Okay, so it's not a huge learning curve for either bass players or guitar players. It's just an alternate tuning that is cool. Okay, last chord formation is your F chord formation. Okay, again, use the A shape I just showed you. And it's always nice to put that pinky in there because quick scale. Use Joy to the World as an easy way to learn the scale in this tuning. Guitar players, you already know it because you're just used to that kind of fingering and it being tuned that way. Bass players, adjust if you like this tuning. Okay, now the F shape is going to be, again, they're all shapes. They're not necessarily the chords that we're playing. They are just the shapes of chords. Okay, for standard guitar players playing an F chord, that would mean you bar at the first fret over the first two strings. Root fifth. Okay. Next string, second fret. Okay. Now second fret, which is a B note, and then G. I got tons of guitars right above the camera. They're making tons of noise. Tons of guitars behind me. I'm going to use a pick and go back here to the bridge since I'm playing so low. Okay, so you have root, fifth, there's a third, and another root. This is actually in G. Why? Because we are up a whole step as far as guitar players are concerned. Bass players are like, okay, I hear the root. It's right there on G, where G always is. That's where G is. It's where it lives. So even though the chord is shaped like an F, okay, it is actually G. That's your root. So wherever you are on your low E string bass players or guitar players looking at it, that is the chord you're actually playing, even though you're playing an F shape. So if you go up to the next one, up here at 3, 3, 4, and 5, what's your root? It's right there. Root, third, fifth, root. Okay, so that's an A chord. Why is this useful? Same as everything else. It is to basically make you think and to have cool things to do if you want to be a busy player, or you are a chordal player, or a person who loves to do melody lines or what have you. You have a lot more chance of succeeding with this tuning than you do with the straightforward tuning on a bass guitar. It just works much better. Okay, and of course again, this is going to happen to be great if you play the chord parts, the thirds and the fifths and the roots and everything, up higher. So let's get this sucker up somewhere where we can make some music. Let's take it up to E. Where is E going to be? Okay, determine your low E string, because you know where it's at. So let's take the whole thing up here so that the higher notes are not so low, and now they are intelligible as notes. And you can actually, instead of course you could still use the E string at the 12th fret, or you could do why I brought you here to tune it this way, and leave the low string open, but still use the rest of this F-shaped chord. Okay, for right now, let's do all 4 strings so I can show you a little bit of theory behind them, or just placements of your pinky. Your pinky is the only thing that you have not used. You can use it on the 12th fret on every string. Okay, so that's adding a 4th. And again, that banjo picking roll, that's great for guitar, bass, every instrument, banjo of course. You have to sit on a couch and practice that all day long. So that is me alternating my pinky, going to the 12th fret on every string, except for your low E string, because you've already got a finger there. But doing my banjo roll and just practicing moving my pinky to the 12th fret. And using my thumb to go up and grab that low E string too. There it is, grabbing the A string. But the other 2 strings are dedicated to these 2 fingers. Okay, that's a great thing to remember. Okay, now time to open this up and play them by notes once you get used to the shape of this. Doing there is going a half step behind each note. It's a good exercise, and just playing that F shaped chord, going behind it, nothing will familiarize you with that chord or any chord more than just going a half step behind it and going. Just a great workout. Okay, so now that you know that this is a root, that's your E, where it would not be on a bass normally. So now we have to open up our low E string. Okay, again, remember you can go to the 12th fret, so I'm going to use that F shape in my brain. I can play here, all the notes we did, and I know I can play everything on the 12th fret. What else can I do? Well, since it's an E here, I can go E. I know I can go to the 12th fret, which is our 2, and up to our 3rd. Let's analyze the rest of them. Let's go to our 5th. Shave and a haircut. Okay, so we know. Okay, so just mess around, you'll find where the rest of your scale is, but that's your F shape. If you actually want the F chord, what would you do from here? You go to F, bang! Just start with the F note on your low E string, and everything else. Okay, so between all of those, you have the tools to create tons of music. Say you're in E, and you're using the D shape. That's often this, the D shape. I'm going to stay in E so everybody can understand this. This is in 1080, so you can make it full screen, get in nice and close. Okay? Chord shape, a D chord shape, but we are in E. So again, big long thing, you'll figure it. You just saw me do it, you can do it. what's that? That's my A shape. Huh? Well, I'm actually going from the D shape, and now I'm going, okay, the A shape. So I'm doing the A shape, which is one finger covering 3 strings. And then we gotta go an octave higher to get our root. And then if you do Joy to the World, that's your E chord again. And when you're done playing up there, you're just right into the D shape. And you're like, but now what? The F shape, why not? There's the F shape. There's the shape. So F shape, E chord. D shape, dog shape. D dog. But we're in E. A shape. So D shape. Right into the A shape. D shape. We stopped here. F shape. Okay, enough of that. Let's make it very familiar for guitar players, and let's make it fun for bass players, because they like to drop down. Let's take everything down. We're not going to do much past this, except for me just showing you about 5-10 minutes tops worth of stuff. Let's take your low E, drop it down a whole step to D. So these are going to be tuned now exactly like the 4 bottom strings of an electric guitar, or any guitar. So your low E is now going to a D dog, just like a guitar. So D. And the next string down on the guitar is G. So we're going to take our A, go down to a G. Whole step. Okay? Bring it down to a G, go below it, tune up. The next string on a guitar is a B. So we're going to take this D flat that we had, take it down to a B. Whole step. Go below it, stretch it, tune up to a B. So same as a guitar. And our last string is at F sharp or G flat currently. Whole step down to just E, like on a guitar. Last bottom string on a guitar. Go flat, stretch it, tune up. Now that we are using wooden necks, we've done all that. We have screwed up the tension on the neck. If you're going to leave it like this because you love it more than life itself, then yes, get a heavier gauge string and leave it. It'll put the tension right back on your neck. But for now, you may have a problem with your truss rod because you just took, tons of pounds of pressure, tension off your neck. So now let's check everything. I'm going to my low D. It is high because I kept tuning everything lower. So it was the first one I did, so I tuned 3 more strings lower, which was going to bring that one higher. The other strings always go the opposite direction. Use a harmonic at the 12th fret only, or the 5th fret, to make sure your tuner will pick it up. Now our G string used to be our A string. Needs to come down because it too suffered the consequences of wooden necks. And now our B string used to be the D string on the bass, now it's a B. needs to come down again. Go flat, stretch, and tune up. That's why they tell you to tune up. It is very important that you always tune up. So always go flat, then come back up. And finally, our high E string now, which is a step and a half flatter than our G string was. So we're going to have some really loose and floppy strings on our bass. I currently have, well, these are actually 95 through 105s. Okay, let's see how close I am. A couple stretches ought to get me in there. Now my low D. That is just more instruments rattling on the wall, folks. We all love that low D, or low B, or whatever. So I am in tune now. So we are tuned exactly, but 2 octaves lower, like... I know you already know, but never hurts to go over it. The 4 strings on a guitar, not the top 4 that we usually are, but the high E string, then B, then G, finally D. That's how we are tuned. So guitar players now, you don't have to have a learning curve at all. You have to have a learning curve though on how to play a bass guitar, because guitar players who play bass generally really make horrible bass players. They're like, bass has to be easier. It's got 2 less strings, so that automatically makes it a third easier. Plus you only play 1 string at a time. So that makes it, another quarter easier, or 3/4 easier, because I only have to play 1 string out of all those instead of chords. Okay, whatever. A good bass player is hard to find, period, let alone a great bass player. It is sad that most bass players that are working are frustrated guitar players that went to bass because they thought they could just get a free ride going. And they'll get in a country band and that's all they'll do. Sorry, music has evolved past that. I love the old country more than anything, actually, myself, but things are just moving right along, so all country music today sounds like all Leonard Skinner and Eagles and Molly Hatchet of yesteryear. All that stuff is considered country these days. A lot of country these days is, and this is 2015, is harder and has rap in it than, harder than the 70s music and 80s music were of the rock era, So long hair and great big huge real mohawks, and not just straight up mohawks, but the kind with the points on them. That's all good. Piercings, everything, flying V's, Les Pauls, Floyd Rose equipped Jackson soloists through walls of Marshalls, all considered fair game in country music now. Okay, my battery's almost dead again. This is just exactly like those 4 strings on a guitar, and bass players, all it is exactly what we just did too, but we are tuned down a whole step. So now you have a low D. Nice. And now you have a low G. So it's the same thing we did, all the same chords apply. So now we got a low D, but now the D-shaped chord is actually in D now. That is D, where it was in E before. It's just nice to have that low D, isn't it? And now your A shape. Now it's exactly like guitar, so it's so easy for me to go right here. Players, you could add bends, you could do whatever. You're on a guitar shaped tuning thing. So if this is G, used to be, now it's down, so it's F. So let's go up to G. Here's your D. Now so we can do our D shape, or F shape stuff, I'm sorry. Take it up to E, which usually would be E. Now it's D because we are tuned down a whole step. Okay, yes, everything's rattling. I've told you that before. So everything I taught you is the same, but this is really nice too. If you decide to stick with this, go with a heavier gauge set of bass strings, and that will be a lot easier on your neck and your truss rod and all that, but everything stays the same. This is just if you actually want to go into a lower tuning and still remain on a 4-string instrument, or even with a 5-string instrument. You could drop your B down to an A and have everything tuned that way, or what have you. But just remember all this, that you're just simply playing a different set of 4 strings from a guitar tuning. That's all that has happened. Gotta love that. Something in here loves that particular frequency to rattle, but so that's off my A chord, A shape chord. I'm in D now. Okay, so I'm going to get off of it, but that's what I had to show you. I think it is actually worth mentioning and just a viable alternate tuning. And it should make so much sense. I haven't found anybody that's done that yet, other than for a few people who have tried like a Fender Bass 6, or a couple people who have tried 6-string basses and tried to tune them like a guitar all the way across. Had to use a couple guitar strings to make that happen that were extremely long, but I've never seen anybody, if you have, show me, that actually went ahead and bothered to tune their bass just like the other set of 4 strings on a guitar. Okay, again, it just makes sense to try it. I hope you will. Hope you got something out of it. Once again, Scott Grove, GroovyMusicLessons.com. Check out the free stuff, check out the paid stuff, pay for the paid stuff. There's even a link for now still to pay for the free stuff if you just feel like donating, since yes, for me to send you free downloads, it costs me now $11,000 per year to send downloads to people, and I have to do it manually. They don't even send them to you when you order them. I have to do all the legwork. Yes, $11,000 a year. We've done that before, showed you the paperwork. It's crazy how much this costs. So if you still want to make a donation, you still can for now, but in order for me to continue to make lessons that I have to sell, I am going to have to discontinue the free lessons and donations and all that crap, because there's simply not enough room with that company, and there's no other companies out there that do this, for me to have this much space taken up, how much real estate. So I have to get rid of the free lessons as far as you being able to download them in order for me to upload versions of new paid lessons that I want to release. I've got about a dozen on the shelf. Nobody is able to buy them yet because of so many space restrictions online with my downloader, and space restrictions on flash drives where people want to buy all my lessons on one thing. There's just not a room to put any more on them. So I'm going to have to go to a higher capacity flash drive if I put more lessons out. I want to put more lessons out. So it's going to end up just flat out costing more if you're going to get more quality lessons instead of these little unthought through freebies like this. Yes, the other ones have scripts and are totally family friendly. Okay, so once again, I'm me, you're you. Learn this if it interests you. Okay, be groovy. Bye bye.